What is up, everybody? Alright, it's time for Lostbelt 5. We did a little bit of this last time. The one thing, and this might mess things up a bit, I need to record Caenis' voice line for her extra attack when you fight her as a boss, because I don't actually have that recorded. And when you fight her in Lostbelt 5-2, she actually does her NP, so she doesn't do the voice line anymore. So, I don't remember when that is, and I might be able to record it on stream. It depends on like how I can get my sound quality, but yeah, I want to make sure I get the quality good for that, because you don't have another chance of getting that voice line, so. But you know, that line we've already got, and alright, let's see, where are we in the story here? Yeah, the Nasu interview, though, was just a few days ago, and some of the translations are kind of shaky, but it's pretty interesting. Some of it I talked about a while ago about like how, you know, he's like really likes FGO and wants it to be good, but on the other hand he's been working on it so long he wants to do other things, right? Like, so it's kind of an awkward situation for him. But you know, honestly, one of the most interesting things in it wasn't about that stuff though. It was kind of, they talked about why the blue cubes got added, which I still don't agree with, by the way, but it's basically like, on the one hand, you know, Nasu really wants the game to be like a proper video game and have tough boss battles and make people have to, you know, get in there and play, because, you know, he likes games like Dark Souls and everything. But then, you know, DW and everything wants it to be like, you know, they don't want people to get stuck and that kind of thing. So like the blue orbs are kind of, they're compromised, I guess. So they're like, oh yeah, if you don't want to do them, do use the blue orbs, and if you do want to do them, don't use the blue orbs. But I think that's a really bad way of approaching like game design, like having that kind of opt out that's so easy to do, because I think, you know, okay, let me explain this. Time to bust out MS Paint, boys. It's I mean, one of those moments. Okay, hold on, I got this. Okay, so you've got, you know, a percentage of people, right? And it's a minority. It's actually a rather small minority. You've got people that like bitch about, oh my god, the game's too hard. You can't, you know, do this is free to play. Demeter's OP, wham, you know. But they get a disproportionate amount of attention because they're loud, and you know, they go to Twitter and they're, you know, most people that are, you know, enjoying their game or just kind of in the middle, you know, they don't care about this, right? So but you have this percentage of like the FGO Pi player base here, right? That's like your Care Bears. You know, they really just cannot handle even remotely difficult content. I don't mean like Dark Souls difficult, I just mean like, oh my god, I have to think for 2 seconds. They can't handle it, right? But it's a minority of the player base. But then you've got another minority, which I would say is probably even smaller, of people that really like the difficult stuff, right? They like doing like no-hit stuff in games and speed running and things like that, and they're really hardcore, and they like really getting in there, and they super like the difficult stuff like in FGO. Now a lot of people like that don't necessarily play FGO, but some do. And these people are overly represented when it comes to like, you know, people that get big on, you know, YouTube or something because they do fancy shit and, you know, like 1 to 3 star stuff or 1 to 2 star stuff or whatever, right? And so that's a small percentage of people that really enjoy that stuff. Thank you for the resub. But then you have literally everyone else, right, that's not in either of these groups, right? And they're just playing the game, right? And they're just trying to, you know, get middle of the road, just, you know, do shit, right? They're not really in the game to specifically do, you know, have really hard boss fights, but they don't like, you know, they're not like against having a challenging experience from time to time and stuff. And so I think what happens is when you add a system like blue cubes to the game, it pushes these people in this direction when they don't really necessarily want to, they don't even think about it, right? Like, a lot of people are going to take the route of least resistance just because it's human nature to do that, right? Even if they might enjoy being a bit more on this side, maybe not all the way to this side, right? But they might enjoy, you know, a little bit of challenge, you know, maybe I actually beat Zeus the proper way, right? But because humans are inclined to always go for the path of least resistance, things like the blue cube is going to disproportionately affect like the normal people into this direction a little bit, right? And I think that that's normally bad because there's literally no incentive not to use blue cubes, right? There's none. So a lot of people are just gonna get to a boss, not really understand it yet, and then like, oh yeah, this is, you know, whatever, and they'll just res and that's that. And a good example is Ibuki. I've seen so many people say they thought Ibuki was bullshit and they just instantly used blue cubes on it and moved on, right? But they didn't actually sit down and look at the boss fight and even figure it out. Because when you first see it, it looks like it's not fair to free-to-play people. Because like, oh my god, so much invincibility, and then she gets so much health, how could you possibly do this as free-to-play? But then when you get in there and actually figure out what's going on with the fight mechanically, and then you have things like the permanent art up and whatnot, it's not that hard, right? It's not that big of a deal. So if you just take a second to actually understand and get in there, it's pretty easy to do for anybody, and then it's going to be more rewarding. Like, oh yeah, actually, I figured this fight out, and let's see what the gimmicks are and everything, and you know. So that I'm fine with them putting in ways to help people that want to be more, you know, quote unquote stress-free, as they put it, right? You know, I think command spells worked really well for that, though, right? I really think the blue cubes are taking it too far in that direction, right? Because it de-incentivizes a lot of players from even interacting with the more interesting mechanics of the game, and you know, I don't think that's great, and that's gonna, I think, also gonna turn a lot of like people off that like try the game out, you know. And I've always said that I think FGO does a bad job of getting kind of normal people to enjoy the game because the game offers you no friction for so long, none. And games without friction get boring to a lot of people, right? Now, yeah, they may not want as much friction as like, you know, that the red demographic that I had there, but a lot of people want the game to not feel like it's playing itself, right? And I think FGO kind of, it does not do a good job putting its best foot forward in that department. Yeah, I agree. I think story supports are a really good way of doing it, especially for key boss fights. I think there's a lot of ways to do it. And one thing, a simple way you could do it is make it so you're mildly incentivized not to use blue cubes. We're like, okay, if you don't use your blue cubes, you can get like some extra, you know, bronze mats here and there. Nothing major, like at all, because that way people aren't gonna feel like gypped if they use them, right? But you make it something where it's like, okay, you get a tiny reward for not using them. That way I'm not wasting my time if I want to, you know, sit down and figure this boss fight out or whatever, right? I think the fact that it's just completely, there's no incentive to actually, you know, fight hard bosses like legit. There's no incentive to do that at all, right? You might as well use, you know, command spells and blue cubes and everything else, and at that point, nothing is even remotely difficult. And some people don't want the game to be difficult, and that's fine, but like I said, I think you really should have some kind of reward for, you know, taking it more seriously. Okay, we don't really want Aussie with such a bad CE. What am I gonna bring here? Now that's a Shiki. Not a particularly good CE, but, okay, we'll go Kojiro. Like, 10 SQ would be way too much, right? Because then you're gonna feel, like, obligated not to use them, and you don't really want people to feel that way either. Because I'm fine for a game trying to find a balance, you know, between things, and, like, and that's where optional difficult content can be really good, right? Content that you don't really have to do, but if people want to go, hey, you want to go do the challenge tower just because you can, right? Things like that are really a good way of finding that balance. But yeah, Nasu really likes proper boss fights and, you know, hard stuff, and like it even says, like, you know, if he fails a boss, he doesn't feel bad about it, he's okay with trying it again. But some people don't like that, right? But you can't, I think ultimately making a game, you know, there's some degree of middle of the road where you kind of make everyone happy to some extent, but ultimately you have to decide what you want your game to be, right? And like, oh, what you're going after and what, you know, what kind of players you want to enjoy the game the most. But, you know, Gashas just want all of the money, so... Okay, I really need to level better here, man. I know I keep saying that, but like, god damn, it's just so many stages. I'm like, man, I could really use Butterbeer here. Did I even bother with Hans? Let's not. Let's do that. Okay, I'm fucking up the wrong team. This is the one I think I was using for farming or something. There we go, that's better. We just go no support, I guess. Hey, Master, thank you for the resub, or the Twitch Prime, excuse me, getting my things confused there. Oh yeah, I missed a resub earlier, but I was kind of in the middle of, you know, the moment there. I have no idea how you're supposed to say this name. It's set us up, I guess, or something. Anyway, thank you for the 2-month resub. No capital letters in that one. Just, you know, and see, a lot of people don't have a lot of the OP servants, but that's fine. You know, the big thing is every once in a while, I think they do legitimately make a boss that really is not reasonable for somebody that doesn't have a bunch of really powerful stuff, like Castor Tori or Merlin or whatever. But that's very rare. Hardly ever did they make bosses, I think, that are unfair like that. It was like Shadow Knights of the Round Table was one. And maybe like Neopus Gramps back in the day. Wait, these names are why do you? I swear, everybody in my chat does not believe in capital letters. They're like, let's make a name that's multiple words and not put any capital letters anywhere in it. It's great. They just fuck with Green Man now, but unhide something. Thank you. Thank you for the Twitch Prime though, but I literally have no idea what your name is. I have not a clue. You guys are killing me. I swear people found out that Green Man is bad at names and they're just like, let's make these even worse. It's funny, Arjuna, if I saw your name right, like, out of the blue with no context, I honestly might not pick out that it's I Love Arjuna. It would probably take me a minute. You know, now I know, obviously, but, I'm afraid to stuff. Yeah. Oh my god, some of these names, man. I'm just joking, though. It doesn't, you know, people can do whatever the fuck they want with their names. I'm just saying, you know, it's a streamer's profession to basically say people's names. And I'm exceptionally bad at it, right? So, you know, I really know how to pick them, right? Alright, we need Hans, Bond, we need Rosh, Bond. Hopefully our back row's not gonna matter too much. Took me like an hour to actually start this stage. I don't think I really need Bond on anyone. I mean, I guess if I got Bond on her eventually, that'd be great, but this probably isn't the time to worry about that. Okay. And Lord Inquisitor, thank you for the some number of fits. Thank you. There's like divides in the name there, so that's not so bad. There's Ignis. I think I got it. That's not too bad. It's fairly reasonable. Alright, I swear to God, we're gonna start the goddamn stage now. Okay, everyone, this is a conspiracy. This is like everybody that doesn't have capital letters dividing their name, everyone with names like this is subbing and throwing bits at me right now. Which on the one hand I should be happy because you know money is useful, but on the other hand I do feel like this is a conspiracy. But I appreciate the 100 bits, Horton or something. I don't. Okay. Okay. Yep. There it is. Okay. Rule 8. You know, some is you know what? I'm just gonna play my game right now. But thank you for the support, everybody. Okay, at least I can say Zerp. But you know, Zerp doesn't even have a fucking capital letter. Thankfully, it's like it's supposed to be one word. I'm pretty sure. But even Zerp doesn't have a goddamn capital letter there. But thank you for the subs and everything, guys. Definitely a scam train. Oh, and thank you for the raid. And hi, Rex. Rex, were you here for the MS Paint Ink part? I'm curious. Don't, I was not, yeah, don't watch the VOD. Just don't watch the VOD. But no, my day is going well. It's good times are here. I don't think this stage actually matters. I can't wait for Lostbelt 5-2 because I haven't done it in a long time. And 5-2 is the only story where there are no filler stages. Every single stage is like actual content. And space with the commentary with the 100 bits, I appreciate it. What? Okay, look, I swear, everybody that's got a messed up name is like, now is my time. Like, how the fuck, like, Samu, I think? God damn, dude, why do I even bring this shit up? Because all the insane names, you know, come out of the woodwork that I can't say, man, every damn time. Anyway, so how about that difficulty in FGO topic, eh? And Arjuna, thank you for the 100 bits. And now I just feel like a bad person, right? Because now I'm just getting a bunch of money for, you know, not being able to pronounce names, right? Like, does that make sense? Do you ever feel like Twitch is just like, or just streaming in general is just like the stupidest profession anyone can have on the planet? Because I definitely feel that way, because it's like, it doesn't even make sense anymore, right? Like, I mean, never mind my streams, because, you know, I'm a pretty small stream, but the things that like people make money for now when streaming, it doesn't even make sense anymore. It's like it doesn't. I'm making money because I can't say people's names. It's like, okay, yep, that makes sense. This is the world we live in now. Dude, Kojiro's MP though. Still good. You know, I wish this game had proper tooltips, because I would like to know, because this makes him do slightly more damage and take slightly less. It's not that big of a deal, but it's something. But out of just my curiosity, I would like to know the like details, right? There's so many buffs throughout, like on our side and their side and stuff, where it'd be so much nicer if we had like real tooltips. I like how these still haven't changed. What's it called? Imperial privilege to have a tooltip that even like makes even a slight degree of sense. It's not even that hard to give specific values, and I don't even see the reason why these shouldn't. You know, because they get data mined anyway, and like internally they're using, it's not like they have like some weird formula internally, it's actually, you know, very straightforward. So I think it's just weird that they don't have more proper tooltips, like, you know, increase, you know, quick performance by 20% for 3 turns, right? That's a completely reasonable tooltip, right? Instead of it saying like, I think it says like, you know, quick performance, you know, enhanced for 3 turns or some crap like that. Like, it's just silly. Like, why? I want Kojo to crit right now, but he doesn't have like the cards for it, so maybe I shouldn't even use that. We'll crit next turn. There we go. That was definitely a scam train. Yeah, it's true. You know, I honestly think, because someone just pointed out, a lot of CEs do give you like a proper tooltip, but it's only the CEs. I think it's basically, it's just like a relic of the past, right? When you first made the game, I mean, it was, you know, pretty much supposed to be shovelware. It wasn't supposed to be as big of a game as it is now. all these things. I think they just slapped things together. They wasn't like a plan or anything. And, you know, they didn't really have proper tooltips because they couldn't be asked. And, you know, there's just an inconsistency between, like, the gameplay and the CEs. And as time has gone on, they've just stuck with that original... Damn, it didn't kill him. But they've just stuck with that original design just cause. I guess now because they don't want to go back and make tooltips for every single ability that they've ever made. Because, you know, there's more than 3 per character because you have at least 3 skills within your NP and all the skills have multiple effects and everything. So like the amount of tooltips they'd actually have to, you know, make and then make sure they're applying properly and everything would be a lot of work. Where doing it for like every time you make a new character, you just write up the right tooltips for that character, it's not a big deal. But retroactively doing it would be a lot of work, and that's probably the main reason they don't. Which is not a good reason, but that, I imagine that is what it is. And if they ever did do it, I swear they do it like they're stupid, like the way they do NPs now, right? Any new character would have like the proper widescreen support. I really can't put enough air quotes around widescreen there, but you know, so they'd make new tooltips that are you know, up to snuff, and then they would very slowly fix the old ones. That seems to be the way they always do things. The thing is, the wiki's not always right, so they're not gonna bother to do that. Because just for real, the wiki is not always right, and the wiki, and like the Japanese versions of it, don't use the same wording and stuff that they might necessarily want to, so they would definitely not do that. It's not like, there's no issue, they internally can look at the numbers, no problem. Like on the dev side of things, it's not like they don't know how big of an art up Geronimo's art up is. But you can't like snap your fingers and apply a design change across the board. Unfortunately, dev work doesn't generally work that way. Now there are some developers, when they really plan ahead and stuff, they put systems in place that are easy to change in the future, where like you can retroactively change like a title for one thing, and that'll change the title of everything, right? Things like that. But FGO most likely didn't do that. It's not a very future-proof game. It's been known like to have spaghetti code for a long time. So I don't think they have a way to quickly like change the format of how the writing on every single art up is said. I doubt they can do that. And there's so many characters now. I really think that's a big part of it, is they just can't be bothered to, this is probably Cerberus. Let's see, we did Proto-Ku last time. I wouldn't mind summoning pretty much nothing and just having my account, we'll summon Ricky Boy. Who doesn't like Ricky Boy? Okay, let's see. Let's just support Ku. Let's do some old-fashioned, Ku stuff. What do we got for that? Let's see. I like debuff clear, honestly. I might actually do Martha because he can do like NP seal and skill seal at really obnoxious times. Boy, do I wish I had Alexander. Yeah, 85 Ricky Silver Border. That story supports. And you know, like NP4 and all that good stuff. Can I bring a Rosh just for the bond? Dude, the problem with the Rosh is bond CE, especially in a budget context, because it's mostly for budget people, because budget setups oftentimes have problems with debuffs. But on budget setups, NP is a big issue. Like, his budget setups don't have battery. You know, they don't have Waver or Merlin or Castoria, so getting units battery quickly is difficult. And so having a Rosh start with 0 NP is pretty annoying, but then his bond CE doesn't activate unless he does NP. So it's kind of whack. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that Lost. You know, the thing is, obviously some people have heard of those things, it's just the mainstream hasn't. And hey, the worst donut. Well, the question is, what is the worst kind of donut? Anyway, but, you know, normally somebody knows who they are. But yeah, who knows, maybe that gets us Green Knight someday. I don't know about Kiara. She's got, you know, messed up skills, but my god, there are so many characters now that they click one button and 80 things happen. Right? Like, there's a lot like that these days. Rice donuts, god. Pokemans. Alright, should be fine. A shitty baked donut from the grocery store that's also dry. That sounds awful. Yeah, Kiara's more about her utility than anything else, really. Like, having a decent MP rank is certainly good. You know, while they're there, the more damage they do, the better. But with all of her buffs, she's good enough from just like a utility standpoint and everything with her skills. But yeah, if you like really like Kiara and you want her to, you know, you want to be able to use her really often, and maybe even if her like utility's not applicable, you still want to be able to use her, then yeah, you're gonna want her at a decent MP rank. But that goes for a lot of characters. Although legitimately there are exceptions, like you really don't need like a high MP rank on Castor or Toria at all. It really does not matter that much, and that's the same for several supports and things like that. And there's a few DPS that, you know, are so skill oriented it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's pretty normal that the higher the MP rank, the better, and some servants are just so good, they're good regardless. Like, Super Orion is way better at MP5 than MP1. Like, much, much better. But he's so good at MP1 that he'll still get the job done for a lot of people. This is not Cerberus. This is a Chimera. See, now I should have focused more on AoE, but, oh well. Martha, please. I wish Martha had a art card, because, you know, she has 3 of them, because then with Hans's NP, I could art chain rather easily. I think I'm gonna fucking evade Hans, because I don't want him to get crit and die. Single Castoria is pretty broken. She's not, like, as broken as some of the other things out there when she's by herself. You know, and Scatty is the big one that when she's by herself, it's not that big of a deal. But I would say if the only strong support on your team, out of all the big ones, which one is the most impactful for challenge quests and main story fights, it is Merlin. If you only got one, it's definitely Merlin, because the long-term value that he gives you, the amount of like carry potential he has on his own is just so freaking high, right? Like it's not honestly not even that close. Now I would say Castoria is next though. I think for the like if you're only gonna have one strong support on your team, the next best one is Castoria, because she still offers you a lot of battery for one unit, and then some battery for the team as well. And although her survivability she offers the team on her own is a bit limited, her survivability works best when she's working with another support that has survivability. That's where it really shines. And if she's the only support on the team, the survivability she's going to give you is a little wonky, but it's still helpful, right? It's still better than like Hans, of course, and things like that. So she gives you decent burst damage and decent longevity, but Merlin gives you just the most longevity by so much. And then it's not like Merlin doesn't give you short-term stuff, he gives you plenty of that too. So if he's going to be the only good support on the team, Merlin is definitely the most impactful, but I think Castoria is definitely second. But then Castoria can get really disgusting when she's comboed with other things, and so can Merlin. It's just if your objective is LOL 3-turn, Castoria is generally like the best, because 3-turning is so much about refund and like a lot of value in 3 turns, and the amount of value you can get out of like double Castoria, maybe switch Waver or many other units instead of Waver, is just crazy. You know, after those 3 turns, it is going to fall off pretty fucking hard, but not as hard as like Scatty. Scatty falls off like a rock after the 3 turns, right? Where Castoria really doesn't. But the longer the fight goes, the more advantaged Merlin is, like very much so. But you can always do Castoria and Merlin, right? And plenty of people do that, and that's pretty disgusting. The whole reason people think Merlin is like behind is just because he doesn't have 50% battery. That's like the whole reason. And like the whale or really high end meta is just spamming, you know, 50% batteries everywhere and as much refund as you can get, and just NP, right? Like that's like that. But most players can't do that anyway. Even if they have, like, if they do summon their friends Castoria, their ability to do that is limited. Yeah, they can still maybe bring a starting NPCE and NP, and then use Castoria skills and NP again, or get enough in. But like, they generally can do like 1-2, right? And that's it. And then it stops, right? So like, if all you have is Castoria, it's nice, and then she gives you survivability and plenty of damage and all that. But it's not like, oh man, she's just going to completely carry this challenge quest. Like it doesn't, not at all. Unfortunate that Ku's art card was in the 3rd hand. I guess I heal Hans instead of Bride, try to keep him from dying. I've always said this, I completely agree that out of all the big boy supports, I think Tam is the most fun to play from a gameplay perspective. It's funny because, so if we consider the big supports, Merlin, Caster, Toria, Scatty, Waver, Tam, I guess the big five now, it used to be the big four, but I guess the big five now. Out of all of those, I think Tam is the most fun to play. And but she's the character-wise, she's my least favorite. Out of those five, Tam is my least favorite. But it's just, in my opinion, she is absolutely the most fun. Because first off, if she's not being combined with a lot of the other really disgusting supports, she's not really OP. She's really fucking good, but I wouldn't say she's OP. But she can enable a lot of nonsense. I mean, she's been able to enable 3-turn like refund art setup since long before Scatty, right? A lot of people just didn't realize it. She's been able to do that for so long, but there's, you know, gaps in it in terms of like, you know, you don't have a lot of survivability and slower and things like that. Blah blah blah. Anyway, but yeah, I think Tam takes like a degree of, you know, foresight, and it's a very unique gameplay with the cooldown reduction. But she offers you some really unique, awesome stuff. But there's also some like really big, you know, she doesn't like give your team like everyone has invulnerability now, right? She doesn't do anything like that. So there's some big gaps, but she does give you a lot of damage and some really unique utility, and like the combination of that I just think is really fun. But if you do combine her with like Castor, Toria, and like Waver and crap like that, it can just be so disgusting. When she's lowering the cooldown, why did I attack that one? Anyway, when she's lowering the cooldowns on already really meta units like Merlin, and they're getting their stuff back faster, it's just, it's stupid, right? Like, those other supports compensate for her not having a lot of hard survival for the team, but then she adds some soft survival to kind of, those two, soft survival and hard survival combined is just like, well, we're invincible, right? And then she just makes those other supports so much stronger that it really is broken. But yeah, she's like the only OP support in her team. I think it's super fun. It's just enjoyable gameplay, right? I wish I didn't avoid 5-star supports in my videos sometimes, because as much as I'm not a big fan of her character, the gameplay really is cool. At some point I probably will make a team video with her just to do it, especially if they had story replay. If they had story replay, I'm gonna do all kinds of videos to highlight all kinds of styles setup and like mixture, a little bit of, you know, high rarity and instead of no rarity, you know, high rarity and stuff like that. Because if I've already done the boss, you know, and I've already made a video I'm happy with, you know, I can revisit it and just use a fight just to highlight, oh hey look, you can do like an art team where your only like strong support is Tam, right? Like you can totally do that. Like, so I would love to go back and do some harder like boss fights in the past, and then just use them as a like a way to kind of show off how to make a quick team work, how to make a art team work, or the specific, you know, gimmicky servant work, with, you know, not full on budget, but like, you know, still rather budgety stuff. You know, you don't have to do double Castoria to do a good art team, right? You don't have to do that at all, right? You don't need Castor or Toria to make Tam work, you know? So it'd be fun to make videos like that. I can see where people are coming from when they say they don't like London, like they dislike London more than they dislike Septum, but I definitely dislike Septum more, because at least Septum has a few plot points that are kind of interesting and relevant and important to the overarching story, where Septum doesn't, and it's just really repetitive and ABC with beating each, you know, antagonist one at a time. But they're both pretty bad, and there are some real problems with London. Like, it really does not treat its characters well, and like the only like dramatic moments that could potentially happen is like when like Guadia kills a lot of the servants, but it's all servants that you have had absolutely no screen time at all, and so it means nothing, right? And one of the only interesting character dynamics there's two interesting character dynamics in my opinion in London, and that's obviously like Mordred and Artoria, but name a more disappointing setup, right? Like, they don't even... Artoria does nothing in all of London. She has like, I think she says one word maybe, if that. I don't think she even says anything. Like, her reason for being there is never explained. Her motivation is never explained. Why she's siding with Guadia is never explained. You know, there's no build up on Mordred's side. It's not like they have like a, you know, character moment. It's the stupidest, like, Lane Toria versus Mordred, you know, round 2 is really epic, but they made it the lamest thing of all time. I'm like, good job. The other interesting character thing going on, dynamic, in London is Frankenstein and Babbage But again, they don't do anything with it. They did more with it than they did with Mordred, sure, but like it's mentioned and dropped so fast. And like, there really is a cool character arc that could have happened there, but the pacing on it is garbage, and it's not, you know, used well, and it's kind of just a forgettable moment, even though it shouldn't be. But yeah, again, because Babbage just isn't like characterized and shown, and like their connection isn't like explored and leading up to, you know, Babbage's end or anything, right? So it's a waste, total waste. It's a good idea, but it's implemented like dog shit, and that's basically London in a nutshell. Like, there's obviously some cool stuff, like, and ideas in London, but it's all handled so generically and boring and just ABC, you know, it's just, ugh. And then, yeah, the whole Lantori altar thing is just abysmal. But the saving grace of London is when you start seeing kind of the overarching story, and you start kind of hinting at Guadia and kind of learning about, you know, what's going on and stuff, and that's good, but it definitely could have been handled better. And it's not like any of the stuff you learn about at the time Solomon, or you think Solomon, but it's actually Guadia, anything you learned there, it didn't have to be in London. You could have, that kind of encounter and knowledge that you obtained could have been obtained in any of the singularities, really. And yeah, their use of like Kentucky and Tam was just awful. Like, it's just awful. It's totally fine if they die, but like, it doesn't mean anything if they just show up and randomly help you for no reason and then instantly get yeeted by Guadia and that's it. Like, that's so meaningless, right? Like, when you look at why like Jason's death is impactful, is because, you know, he's been working with the main characters the whole time, right? And so not only is he like doing things, but you see a lot of his characterization and stuff, right? And so you've grown to like the character, so it sucks when the character dies, right? Like, that's like the thing. And yeah, you don't have to make every death like super dramatic and always built up to and stuff, because, you know, sometimes shock value works, and you know, life's a bitch sometimes. But literally, Kentucky and Tam were so meaningless to most readers of that story that it's irrelevant, right? It's totally irrelevant. Yeah, Zokin is in London a little bit. Kind of funny. Like, honestly, as a premise, I think London could have been great. I think it could have been really great, but I think it's a victim of, it was kind of made right before FGO started getting a bit more serious about its writing, and I've seen some people blame the writer, and from what I have seen of her writing, it is really hit or miss, right? Like, a lot of her writing I see is really hit or miss, but I think she has written some good stuff. And honestly, I think she did the best anyone could reasonably do with like Proto Lancer's Master, right? So the original prototype, the way it detailed Lancer's Master, she is so stupid, and like she's just so randomly, like, you know, untrusting and ridiculous that trying to make a backstory for that character to make her end result seem more feasible is really hard to do. And ultimately, I don't think it can really be done, right? I think the character behaves just too ridiculously in Fate Prototype. But the backstory that she gave her in Fragments and stuff is like, you know, that's reasonable, right? That's a pretty good take on that character and whatnot. So, like, I mean, I think Fragments was written decently well, but yeah, Septum and London, not so much. But I think a lot of that, again, is that's when FGO didn't put as much effort into these things, and I doubt they were paying the writers as well, and, you know, it was more like of an afterthought and stuff. So I think that's a big part of why it's so... It's almost like the writer didn't care to really sit down and do the research and put in the time. Not that they can't do those things, but they didn't care to, and it's probably because the timing and budget and everything. Yeah, I've heard that too, Lost. It's hard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that, yeah, 1 to 7 was basically already written, but then Nasu scrapped Camelot and Babylon and all that and redid it, and that's probably, and I know Babylon took them a really long time, and that could be why. So, and Nasu even said a long time ago, before he got like really involved in FGO, that he didn't want FGO's story to be anything like that important. He didn't want Type Moon fans to feel like they needed to read it. And so I think the original story was just really generic and video gamey and just kind of an excuse to have a big bad guy and everything. But I think they, you know, when Type Moon did start getting more involved, they definitely made it, you know, better. But it still has a lot of its, like, you know, growing pains, if you will. Alright, let's see if we can make Ricky work here. Oh, geez, thank you for the 300 bits. Tabooty, okay. Been watching your streams on YouTube for a while. Finally got a stream. Wanted to support you. Also, thank you about making a bingo card for your stream. Wait, what? Oh, I mean, if you want to make a bingo card, I won't stop you. I'm not gonna like DMCA you or anything. Do whatever you want. But dude, thank you for the bits, man. I really appreciate it. I'm glad some people are able to enjoy the streams on YouTube. I didn't know if it was going to be in demand for that, but apparently there has been. So I'm glad that it's been of use to people. I agree. They should rewrite the original story because it's terrible, and it's not even that it's terrible. It is, but it's that it's paced horribly, and that it's so not good for like new players to come in. And have like all this filler and just boring trash fights and everything. Like that really needs to go. Like it really needs to go. So I'm hopeful that I think I don't think they're going to. I think they'd rather just make the new stuff moving forward better instead of revisiting the old stuff. So I think it's unlikely we're gonna get too much. But who knows? Maybe they'll give it a facelift someday. It's a lot of work though, because not only would you have to rewrite it, you'd have to change like the pacing of stuff, because certain elements happen because of the gameplay and vice versa. And so if you're wanting to take out a lot of the filler bullshit and stuff, it's it's a chunk of work. Like it's absolutely a chunk of work. But I think they should at least do it like one singularity at a time, because it wouldn't even if you had like just one or two writers and like one or two programmers working on it on the side, it's not that big of a deal, right? Because it's not like you have to completely redo everything. You just kind of add some structure to it and clean it up here and there. Like it's like, okay, let's do Fuyuki, just do Fuyuki, and then later you do Orleans, right? Just kind of do them one at a time on the side and just make them better. And like as you roll them out, put in story replay for God's sakes. FGO's tutorial with those empty cards, indeed. I deliberately forced myself to use my AP every day in order to get through the original stories, but I read them all. Oh god, that's rough. I know. When I got into FGO, it really helped me because I'd kept tabs on the game before I played it because I'm a big Fate fan. But dude, mobile games back then were also fucking terrible, right? And there's still a lot of bad mobile games, but they've gotten a lot better as time has gone on. They're getting somewhere, Anyway, but I didn't want to play FGO in the early days because it was such a bad game and had no hard gameplay, and it was such a travesty. But when Time Moon got more involved and they're making it better, and then I had heard that because Nasu, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the stream about Nasu wants good boss fights and he really likes games like Dark Souls and everything, and he likes hard boss battles. Nasu is personally responsible for the big difficulty spike in Camelot. Like he is the reason that happened, right? But it's funny, that difficulty spike and like having actual game design and that kind of thing is the reason I started playing FGO. And so I knew that the game was like a lot, simpler and a lot less interesting until Camelot. Like I was aware of this. And I was playing it because of Camelot. And so what I kind of did to not be bored out of my mind from, Fuyuki to Camelot was, one, it was kind of fun checking out the characters and hearing the voice acting and checking out the animations and stuff. Man, I remember back then when I started playing, like, Mordred's original animations were some of the best animations in the game, right? Because they had a lot of day one stuff. I was like, oh wow, Mordred's really cool with the lightning effects and everything. So that was kind of funny how things have changed like that. Anyway, so yeah, just checking out the characters and whatnot. And what I actively did, because I knew the game was going to get harder. I knew it was going to get harder at Camelot. I made sure not to autopilot things. I took the time as I was playing through it to try to figure things out for myself and figure out when it was like optimal to try to make stars or NP gain or a mix of the things, and like, was it better to do a Buster card first for the Buster card bonus or put it last for the bigger third place bonus? I tried to figure those things out on my own without looking things up and just figure it out on my own. One, because there wasn't a lot of information out there back then because it was only the Japanese version of the game and the English speaking, player base was super small. But also just because I enjoy figuring that kind of stuff out for myself, big time. So I was entertained while going through the easier, dumber shit, and trying to like really figure things out, and then also checking out the new characters and the voice acting and everything. So, and I had this like goal on the horizon of, okay, we're gonna get to Camelot and have a better time. And so thankfully I wasn't really bored because it was pretty enjoyable to try to figure the mechanics out, like, when is it meta to do this or that, and what is better damage in the long run, how good are crits, and how do extra attacks work. Figuring that stuff out was actually very enjoyable for me, and it was worth it too, because when I got to Camelot, I wasn't, you know, obviously still wasn't amazing at the game, but I was better than a lot of people are when they get to Camelot. I'll put it to you that way. So that was good, right? That was very useful to me, not being a complete scrub when I got there, and it allowed me to enjoy it a lot without cheesing it. That was the thing. I didn't have to cheese it or anything, and I was able to really enjoy it. So I'm pretty random with event stories because some event stories are just so filler and are just so not interesting and are silly or whatever that I don't bother. But sometimes they make events that are, you know, a lot better and a lot more interesting and maybe show characterization for characters I really care about and things like that. And sometimes they're more like jokey and funny, but it's done well, right? Like it's done well, and so I have almost no consistency with event stories. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. It's just all over the place. Damn it, Ricky didn't loop. It's very close though. Damn, then now he crit, and so Martha doesn't get her NP. If I had set Ricky Boy up there, he would have looped, because I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, and I didn't even use his third skill. And his third skill makes his NP gain a lot better, so, oops. I love his synergy with Ushi though, because Ushi gives him NP gain up. So it's pretty easy to loop off of like one art card, and if you consider like you have Hans and like some kind of other Stargent going on, it's pretty easy to also crit with that one art card, and so then it's pretty like easy. Speaking of which, I should have used Hans's third skill last turn, so we would have a better shot of Ricky critting here, but unfortunately, I'm not paying attention to any of the things that I am doing right now. Yeah, APOC was pretty good. The writing in APOC was worth the read. There's been events that have been worth the read. I'd say most of them aren't. And I hate to say that, but honestly, most of the events are kind of just throwaway, and they're not very serious, and you know, a lot of the writing is inconsistent. Like the different writers, the way they've handled Scatty, you know, like in her interlude and stuff, and like her serious stuff, it's like pretty depressing, like what her character arc is, and then all of a sudden she's ice cream memes, and then she goes back to being depressing and stuff. It's like, it's really whack, dude. There's a lot of characters like that where it just doesn't work very well. I'm gonna be right back. I need to grab some water. Not that there's anything wrong with ice cream, by the way. All right, I'm back. What's the worst case of mischaracterization in this game's story? I mean, that's hard to call because there's a lot of inconsistency with that. When you have so many different writers and some events being serious and some events not being serious, right? That's yeah, Boudica praising Nero's up there, definitely. That was pretty fucked. And I've heard that the Camelot movie honestly does a really bad job characterizing some characters. Doesn't seem like they put too much effort into that movie, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know, it's hard to call. Like, there's some subjectivity to that, and there's so many characters and so many stories and everything that's hard to keep track of. Boudica is pretty widely disliked the way they handle her, especially because when you look at her voice lines and her bio and stuff, the way she acts in Septum just doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's weird. Let's go for the crits just for fun instead of the MP. let's do that. Maybe we get to do the indie as well. No, definitely not. Good old Romulus, man. Dude, they cut 100 Face from the Camelot movie. Like, what the hell, man? Dude, I'm telling you, it's because they didn't want to animate the 100 unique things, right? The unique versions. And for real, it is a lot of work to animate 100 Face. It really is. But, I mean, literally, what's the point in taking on a project if you don't want to actually do the things that that project entails, right? Dude, I read her bio and her voice lines. She is not characterized a lot right now. And I know she's characterized a bit in the event, but like, my god, she's one of those like it's a bit different from like when they added Yang and stuff, because she does have the event to characterize her more. But seriously, her My Room lines and her bio really do not give you much of a picture of the character. It's pretty vague and kind of just there. It's not the best. But thankfully, she does have the event where, like, when they added Yang and Sei and well, Sei had some stuff with the event, but my god, like some of those characters when they added them, there was just nothing, right? There was just nothing. Like, they didn't have a strong defined character. It was way more just a vague archetype, which was not good. Yang was probably one of the worst cases of when they've added a character and just nothing. And Hokusai didn't have anything either. Like, they've had several where they added them and it's like, okay. And like I think a big part of why like their My Room lines and stuff don't do a good job of characterizing him is because they just don't know what the character is yet, so they keep it kind of whatever. Yang, again, like Yang is the same way. It's like they didn't really know what the character was, so she's just kind of a vague archetype. So none of the My Room lines really get into anything too specific or character defining. That is not DW's fault, though. It's not. That is Type Moon's fault, and not every character. Actually, a lot of the characters ultimately are not written by Type Moon, but they still oversee the writing and stuff, and the buck stops with them. And I think a lot of times, and it's because they sell a lot of times. A lot of times you can put out like a really vague kind of anime waifu archetype that isn't overly defined, and that a lot of times sells really well, right? So I think sometimes they do it on purpose, to be honest. Rex knows what music he likes, I'm just saying. Alright, do we try to loop here? So her Bond CE is really cool though. So her second skill gives the whole team, not just herself, the whole team anti-divinity damage for 3 turns. And then her Bond CE gives the whole team just permanent anti-divinity damage. That's pretty awesome, actually. I'm not sure it would make her like viable as like, you know, on par with like a really good support, but you know, you could still make a team with her as a support for fun, and it would work, I would think. So it's pretty cool, honestly. And then what really would be nice is if you needed a Lancer DPS, but not necessarily as your main DPS, especially in like AoE fights, right? But there's like a benefit to having a Lancer on the team as a DPS. But then you also really want to support like some other class, like your Assassin or whatever, right? And you're fighting something with Divinity, right? That can really work out. So then she can do some pretty solid damage on her own. Obviously, her Bond CE is not really meta for herself because no starting NP, and there's just better CEs that offer more damage up for her personally. But you give those good CEs like that to the other unit that really matters, and then she's giving some help to herself, but then a lot of help to her teammates, and like that's really good. So that's pretty fun. So if I had her, I would actually try to get her Bond CE eventually, but I don't have her. But yeah, there's certainly fun to be had there. Let's see. Well, these aren't divine, but I kind of want to just grab the battery. Fingered Lockout 5-2. I could try. The problem is most of the fights that really matter, you can't bring supports. So, like, we might try to see how good her anti-div. Like, that would be fun if we get to some good bosses. Like, maybe we beat them a few times, and we kind of compare, like, how does she hold up to, like, Martha and Kidu and those things. Like, how helpful can she be to a... Because this account is great for seeing how, like, helpful certain units are, because this account doesn't have anything too strong, other than Herc. But, so, you know, it's kind of on the lower end of power, so it's kind of fun to see how they work with units like Hans or Qingong or, like, more standard DPS like Ushi or whatever, and, like, how much do they help the team out. So it's kind of fun to compare, like, Vertra to Ruler Martha against a Divinity boss, right? Like, so that'll be kind of interesting to do. So yeah, well, I'll try to do that. But unfortunately, the fights that really matter, that people really care about, you know, you don't get support. So now, ultimately, I kind of like that. It makes them very fun, and you have to kind of, you know, stand on your own, right? And that's nice. But if you're wanting to test out, you know, let's see how Vertra does against Demeter, I can't do that, so. Oh, fuck! Is she still rated up? So, spoilers, Hex Maniac, gifted me an account that's like a newbie account, hasn't done anything, right? For a Guadi account. Like, he gave me that for a Guadi account for the stream. I really should grab her just cause if we ever do want to test her against something, I could try to see if I get lucky and if I'm able to get her right off the bat. I didn't even think about that. Sadly, that account though would never it would never make it to 5-2 unless the added story replay and we didn't have to stay at Guadia. But yeah, we're wanting an account that's just for Guadia, so it's not gonna farm much, like it's not gonna do jack shit, but we could pick like 1 or 2 units for it to max out and ignore everything else. Because what we're probably going to do on that account is literally summon supports to solo every single stage just for the fun of it. But, you know, we could have like a token unit that we work on or whatever. It might be too late, though, because most of her mats and stuff that you would need are from the event, and that new account would probably not be able to get much done in this event. I'll look into that, though, and see what I can do. Because I didn't even think about that. We could totally try to do something random and wacky like that. It's like whatever's rated up when you use an account like that, that's like the one you can, you know, do something like that with, so. But yeah, that account would probably be my least played account ever. It's pretty much just there for Guadia, having fun soloing old content while we work our way through. And then honestly, I guess if they added story replay, that account would have almost no use at all, because if other accounts can go back and do Guadia and whatnot, you know, no need for it. The thing is, like, a lot of my other accounts, they're not, I don't play them, right? I only play them when there's something relevant to do with them on stream, right? I'm not, like, managing them. You know, I only play them when, like, it makes sense to play them. You know, when it comes to, like, actually doing events and stuff, I only play, like, 2 accounts. That's it. People actually got, like, a bajillion accounts. I don't. I have my NA account, which I just made day 1 when NA came out, right? And I got my main and my ult on JP, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's pretty much it. And then I've got the 1 to 3 star account that we made just to play through the game with, you know, no help at all, and just use, you know, it's completely vanilla account and just, you know, only use 1 to 3 star craft essences and units, right? But I only play that when we want to, like, go do that, right? I don't play it. I haven't even logged in that account in like a week or something. And then this account, which we just play, you know, like, hey, let's do the story again, right? That's pretty much what this account is. And once this account's kind of done with the story, we don't really need to play it anymore, right? Because, like, there's no reason to, right? If they add more story, then, you know, like, down the road, then we want to play that again, then sure. But, so really, and I don't even play NA much at all, so really I only have, like, the 2 accounts that I really focus on. I mean, we never know what the criteria for GSSRs are, and I really have to, I say this every year, if I wasn't a streamer, almost every GSSR lately I would skip. Like, easy. Like, because most GSSRs, I would have a significantly higher chance of getting something that I actively don't want, or I don't care about in any way, like, completely neutral about. Like, the odds of me getting one of those things is so much higher than getting something that I do like, because there's just not enough 5 stars in the game that I like. So generally they're not worth it for me. Now they've had some banners in the past where I was like, oh yeah, okay, there's like a 50% chance of me getting something that I like and whatnot. But most of those units that I'd be gunning for, oh, there's Caenis. Most of the units that I'd be gunning for like that, I already have, right? So there's even less stuff in GSSRs that I care about. Like right now it's like, yeah, I'd like Tesla, but the odds of Tesla like having a good shot at him is so bad. But because I'm a streamer and people enjoy seeing me, you know, pull fucking Ishtar for the millionth time, you know, I'll do it anyway. But yeah, most GSSRs these days aren't really worth it for me. It's not that they're not worth it for most players, it's mostly they're just not worth it for me specifically. But who knows, they do really weird criteria. I guess this is Jason and Caenis insulting each other back and forth. So, I think you fight her twice. Yeah, I think this one, like, really doesn't matter much. But then the next one is, I think, I'll pay attention from it. If anyone remembers, tell me, because I need to record, I need to record, you know, her EX attack voice line. I think that's the next fight here, which I'm kind of sad that we're already fighting her, because, well, I should probably do... I'm trying to think. I should honestly, because I really do want to stream Lostbelt 5 right now, what I should probably do is when I get to that fight, we'll do it on stream and then cancel the app, right? And then I'll probably close the stream, record it, which will take like, you know, a minute, and then start the stream again, right? Because I don't want to mess around with like audio file format and any of that stuff. I don't want to record it in a way that I don't normally do it. So I could probably just do that real quick, because it won't take long at all. And what I'll even do is I'll get the prep done on stream, right? I'll get to the right part, I'll turn the sound effects off, all that stuff, and then we'll kill the stream, then I'll record it, then I'll start streaming again, right? We'll pretty much do it like that. That way it's, I only turn the stream off for a really short period of time. Because yeah, I might need it in a video someday, right? So I like grabbing rare voice lines and just having them. Like I've had Gajuna's boss-only voice lines for a while. I've yet to have a time to use them, but at some point I'm sure I will. This one doesn't matter, the next one's the real fight. Yeah, that's what I thought was the case. Let's see if Jason can solo this. That's gonna be tough. I think you only have to live for a little while, though. Yeah, that will kind of suck that we'll split up the VOD. That's like the worst part of it. So yeah, people on YouTube are gonna have a weird experience there. Grand Saber, yeah. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Jason knows her weakness because, you know, he's traveled with her before and like knows her legend and everything. He's aware that her invulnerability can be gotten around if you hit her with somebody that has, you know, a blessing of a water god, which Orion does, so. Yeah, that's the good line right there. I'm so glad I have that recorded, by the way. Might as well blast her in the face, why not? I'm sad that her default voice lines don't have that line, but thankfully I can edit them in, so. It is wild, so she has voice lines for her stage 1 and her stage 2, which are the same. And then there's different voice lines for stage 3. And then she has a lot of boss-only lines, so like the actual amount of lines she has for like her EX attack and her NP and stuff is way higher than most units. It's kind of strange, honestly. Apparently, what they said in an interview was that they actually recorded her stage 3 voice lines last minute because they originally weren't going to have voice lines for it. But because she ended up being like the final boss and everything, they kind of last minute wanted to make like that form more special and stuff. Teaming Dragonspine from Genshin Impact, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It was just, They needed new mobs. It was kind of boring. It was all reskins, but overall it was a pretty fun experience. I remember, didn't she have like better animations in that before they gave her an animation update, or is it about the same time? I don't really remember. Dude, his animations were so good, man. True Dragonspire King was fun. Yeah, that I like how you can like give him that extra moveset. I should record Caligula's voice lines. I feel like it's just crazy that they didn't give him an animation update, right? And like a costume or something for those voice lines. That was such a missed opportunity, and it would have taken almost no work on their part. You can make it one of those like 500 Mana Prism costumes, right? Okay, here's the real fight. Oh yeah, Ricky Boy's here too. I forgot about that. Wonder how if they ever make this an anime. I wonder how they would do this whole part. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to fight Cristerio soon. I say fight, but it's not really how that goes. Yeah, they don't get along so good. Good old Orion, man. I just wonder if Ricky Boy's gonna do anything too significant. I bet if they made an anime, it'd depend on the budget. But because the budget is such a thing, most likely they'd have him like maybe do a little bit of fighting at the start to show that he can't hurt her at all, and then pretty much do nothing, and then just have Orion stuff. That's what I would kind of expect an anime to do. Well, I was gonna... That kind of sucks that you have to use a story support, because I was gonna show off Chat's sabers and see how they do, but we can't really do that. How do we want to do this? Let's see. If you've got good enough support for him, you can have Orion do this whole fight. Like, you can get enough damage on him to win. And he gets NP gain really easily here. And he's NP 5! Oh my god. But generally, for like a normal account, it's not going to be able to do too much with him. You're better off just transitioning out of him. But we'll see what we do here. Man, I really should level Karna. It'd be really fun to see if Karna can, like, get the job done for fights like this. Guess Caesar it is. The upgraded NP would help Rama a lot, but you could also add Star Bomb. You could make some of his skills last longer. I mean, there's really no end of ways to make a unit better. Yeah, I haven't played this account too much in this event, but I've played it a chunk. I've been putting most of its XP into Lantoria here, but I should get Karna up because he gets double XP, so I should make sure I get that done before the event is over. Getting some extra skill gems ain't bad anyway. And the stage that you farm drops Camelot medals, which she needs, but it doesn't drop Camelot medals often, so it's not that good, unfortunately. But hey, at least it's something. Okay, what am I doing here? I need to get in George. I mean, really, that's the way. You could literally just do like a setup where as soon as you break Caenis' first health bar, you let everyone die and then Herc just so that wouldn't even be remotely hard. You know what? I feel like we should use Herc though, because that's like the whole thing here with Jason and everything. So I feel like that's the right way to do this. Let's see. Might just cut Hans, but we'll see. Okay, we don't have his third skill yet, unfortunately. The upgrade, but you get it once you beat this story, funnily enough. Do remind me to cancel the app, because I, gotta get that voice. I think this is the only time you can get that voice line. I don't think it's used in any other stage. Unless she doesn't NP when you fight her with Wadim, but I'm pretty sure when you fight them together in Lostbelt Part 2, I'm pretty sure she uses her NP. Okay, I love how they did not add her in 5-1. That was so ridiculous. And they didn't add Odysseus either. It was such a mess, dude. Oh yeah, he has taunt, that's right. At the beginning he takes like less damage or something, but then he starts taking a lot. Like generally you just hit her, get rid of the shields, and he dies. Which is funny, huge disconnect from like what happens in the story. But always a disparity between the gameplay and the story in this game. So I guess when she does get her NP, I'll just have her kill Shingon with his taunt. I guess I didn't really need Hans then. I mean, Ziggurat never sucked to begin with, he just wasn't amazing. But Ziggurat was never, like, bad. I wonder what attack she's going to use next, guys. So everyone told me that they changed her animations in this fight, but I'm pretty sure they were lying. Because that looked like just the way that it did. But yeah, after Ziggurat got buffed, he's fine. He's still not like a top tier 5-star Saber, but he's still going to perform way better than like all the low stars. And he keeps up fine. He's pretty good. Like we have no Orion cards here. We can NP, and we have no fucking Orion cards. That's pretty annoying. The question is, I don't even remember if she has more than one voice line for her extra attack in this fight. I'm not sure. I'll probably use it twice, so... Probably didn't need these guts. But she doesn't start hitting him crazy hard until you break her shield, which we are going to do now. Just for the pride. There's literally no point in doing damage here, because she'll lose the entire health bar no matter how much damage you do. But just cause, let's try to get some damage in. 50% on the buster. Please hit the crits on the busters. Like, oh my god, no. Come on. Okay, well, that could have been better. It's still alright, but yeah, see, there it goes. And now she starts hitting like a truck. I think she clears her debuff there or something. Yeah, I wish I didn't have guts because I would have preferred he die there. And it's funny that he has permanent taunt though. I guess we just let him eat it. We'll try to do as little damage as possible now. We'll do slow-mo so we can pay attention to the voice lines better. Yep, she has more than one voice line. Because I like in my video of this, I know she uses a different voice line than that. So she has like, that's gonna make it harder to record off stream. Let me think. I wonder if you can save scum to change the voice line. You probably can. So if that's the case, it shouldn't take me too long. You'll just get to a turn where she's going to do it, and then you just have her do it a few times and get all the voice lines. Okay, we want, I guess it's Shin Gong to die now, and I think we shoot Hans in the face. Feels bad, by the way. Hopefully she can kill Shin Gong here. For pawns. He did literally nothing here. That's why I was thinking at the start that maybe I shouldn't have even brought him, because there's not much reason to. I could have just started with her, actually, and cut short. I kind of forgot Orion had permanent taunt. I haven't done this in a long time. Yeah, they definitely did not patch her to have her other animations. Watch this amazing MP game. That really is, dude, I remember the second I saw that, when she was added, I was like, oh my god, she's not gonna be summonable in 5-1, is she? And actually at the time I don't think we even knew it was 5-1, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god. And she wasn't. I mean, Sigurd is absolutely above average. Do I need to remind people what the word average means? Like, literally, use your brain. There's no world where Sigurd is average or below average. Because you know what that would mean? That would mean if he was average, that would mean he has like the average, like the sum kind of middle of the road performance out of all sabers in the game, right? And if he was below average or bad, that would mean he performs worse than the majority of sabers in this game, which is absolute dog shit, right? Like, as much as I love a lot of the 1 to 4 star sabers, just because of stats and all kinds of other reasons, almost all of the low star sabers and even 4 star sabers get completely outperformed by Sigurd, right? And then even if you compare him to a lot of the 5 star sabers, like, I think people have forgotten a lot of the 5 star sabers in the game, he still compares just fine. Like, there's no world where he's bad or even average. He is absolutely a saber that's gonna have a very easy time murdering Lancer bosses for you, right? It's not a problem. Even Saber Lily, I wouldn't say is bad. She's just like meaningless and kind of right? You know, her normal cards are pretty bad, but then her NPs hits harder, a little bit harder than normal, and her skills are like, you know, she's kind of. She has some uses, like in farming and stuff. She does have some uses, because her NP does hit hard for being such an easily obtained unit. But she gets outclassed by a lot of sabers rather easily. Oh, voice line again. Yeah, I know, you have to spend money to get grails, you know. And you have to spend money to get skill gems. At least she blocks. I think they have that animation in. What's funny is she has a voice line like that when she's playable, but it's not the same. And like she doesn't say the beginning part and everything. And it's similar voice line, but it's been recorded again. But she does have another voice line in here that is different. didn't reuse any of her voice lines from when she's an enemy, and they actually they keep the voice set for when you fight her in 5-2 with Wadeen. Like, you still use this other voice set. That was an unfortunate turn for us. Not that it's gonna matter, but oh yeah, she gets armor ignore. I forgot about that. Yeah, she gets 2 ticks per turn. So I'm gonna try to not kill her too fast here, but yeah, we're gonna reset in a second. I think we can MP and stuff and not run everything here. When your strongest buster card gets the lowest crit chance. Yeah, I'll yeet the app if we end up killing her. I don't think we will. Now that voice line is reused, I think. I'm pretty sure it is. Wow. Okay, we did kill her. Herc, please. Honestly, I guess I can use that file then. I can just boot that up to record the thing. So okay, I'm gonna kill the stream and well, actually let me get back in game and I'll turn the voice off. We'll show that whole nonsense process. But yeah, I'm gonna turn the stream off for a very short period of time and I'll try to get these voice lines recorded so I have them for later, and then I'll boot it back up. So hopefully it doesn't take more than like 2 minutes or something. Because yeah, I don't remember which account it was, but one of my accounts I did record her like boss specific voice lines, but I didn't record that one because I didn't even think of it because I just bad at planning apparently. But I got the skill voice lines, you know, the famous one obviously, but yeah, I didn't remember that one. Alright, so this is what I do when I'm soloing with Caenis, is like when I want to edit that voice line in, I just go to the menu here and I kill voice, right, I leave sound effect on, and then in the video I add in the voice. And sometimes though the turn doesn't work out where I can do that, and I just mute the whole video and I add in the sound effects and the voice. But, you know, then when that turn is over, I go back in this menu and I turn the voice back on. And I just edit that out of the video, right? So you don't see me in the menus, because, I mean, you don't... That's gonna make a bad video, but, okay, so this case, though, I need to kill the sound effects and keep the voice. Alright, I'm gonna turn the stream off, and I will be back in just a moment, and, well, I guess for the YouTube people, I'll just make a separate, you know, VOD. I'll try to upload them at the same time, though. Alright, I'll be back in, like, you know, 2 minutes, hopefully.